Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tayler Yarish Show. Episode something. Not really sure, didn't check. 30-something, I believe. Morning episode. Sunday morning we're doing this. We got to shift the schedule around a little bit. I was going to do it last night, and I was half a person. Very, very tired. So, just wanted to deliver the goods. This seems a little high. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I said that last week, went back and listened to it, and it wasn't loud at all. So yeah, man. Good to be here. What was I going to say? I was going to say something, and then I immediately didn't say anything. I don't know, man. I'm doing okay. I had a show the other night, and I haven't really bombed in a long time, and I bombed the other night, and everybody at the show was like, "No, you didn't bomb," which is kind of how you know you did. If they're like, "No," they do that soft, "No, what? How could you say that you bombed?" They all sound like Sebastian Maniscalco when they tell you that you didn't bomb. Here, I will defend myself, though. Yes, I went in. I probably went in a little confident. I was like, "Oh, I'll be fine." Everyone was doing a great job. Like all the comics were crushing, and I'm like, "Psh, let's wrap this bitch up, huh?" I was going last, and I went up there, and the show was in like a fucking like a boathouse, and all the hot air was just like trapped in there, and I was not prepared for how hot it would be on stage. Many air quotes around stage. I mean, the corner of the boathouse. It was so fucking hot that I couldn't think very well. And they warned me before the show started. They were like, "Hey, yeah, man, it's a great location. It's like a cool space. The only problem is the heat." And I was, I was standing outside the boathouse, kind of had an open air situation. I was like, it doesn't feel that bad. They had one fan going. I'm like, this is great. I got up there, immediately started pouring sweat, which, from the audience perspective, it just looks like I'm nervous and I'm, just not doing that hot, which I wasn't. But not because I was nervous. I was just so hot. But then I did start to get nervous because I was like stumbling over my words. I couldn't think of like what the next joke I was going to do. I did jokes like out of order and it made no sense. And even like I would pause in between jokes, and I was so hot, like I was so delusional. I didn't want to start speaking again. So nothing worked. None of the jokes worked. In fact, I brought at one point, I have this joke that I do about how like we praise celebrities who died, and it's stupid because nobody really cares that much, actually. And I was did this premise or whatever, and then this guy in the audience started shaking his head. He's like, "I don't I don't agree with that." And I was like, "No, we definitely." I'm like, "We don't really care." And this was on the night that the rapper Biz Markie died, and I felt like, I'll show them. I'll say, "Oh, well, that rapper just died, and no one really cares." I don't know why I thought, and the audience had not heard that this rapper died because they're in the show and they're not on their phone. So I was like, "Yeah, that rapper just died. What was his name?" And then someone, comic in the back was like, "Biz Markie," and everyone was like, "What? He died?" Like they just started flipping out, like it was their favorite rapper ever, which most of them they only probably ever saw, the rapper when he had a cameo in the Men in Black movie. To be honest, I didn't really care that much. I mean, I have heard of him, but it just wasn't what I listened to growing up. I didn't care that much, and honestly, I didn't buy. I think in that moment they all had to be like, "We care, right?" And they're looking around and they're flipping out like, "What? He died? That's so great." It's not DMX, It's not. I don't think of it as the same fucking thing. So they're all just flipping out, which is kind of just ruining the whole premise of the joke. Did I try to finish it? Yeah, of course I did. Did it do not great? Yeah. Yeah, it didn't do great. But yeah, like I was already spiraling, and then that happened, and I just brought the show to an even bigger halt. Yeah, it was not. It's not good. I've had better. It's like, I don't know. And that annoys me, man. Dude, like, you don't really care that much. I mean, the celebrity has to be such a huge part of, like, I guess your childhood or just someone you really fucking admire. And I just didn't buy that this group of, you know, young 20-something-year-olds, and one of them, like, was, underage. I don't buy that you're flipping out that Biz Markie died. I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. And that's so annoying because it's one of those just I can't prove you right and I can't prove you wrong sort of things. So it's just like whatever you say, you can say how you feel and no one can fucking question you. You don't tell me that Biz Markie wasn't one of my favorite fucking. No, I don't think that he was. And that's annoying. But you can't you can't diverge too much on stage and be like, "Oh, you're so full of shit." I mean, I could have said that, but that's not really the tone of the joke, I guess. I don't know. The joke really ends up just being about how people, like, when celebrities die and they try to, like, immortalize them, people post these, like, weird pictures. They did it a lot. I got the idea because people did it a lot with Kobe, where, like, they post these, like, sketched, creepy pictures of, like, them up in heaven. It was, like, Kobe and his daughter, and they're both, like, wearing angel wings, and they're, like, having brunch with Jesus or whatever it is. And it's just creepy. Like, it's just weird how we're like, oh, this is what they're doing now. Now they're up in heaven, and they're hanging with these other and they'd paint them with, like, other dead celebrities. It was, like, a very weird thing. And the joke was because, like, they just would, like, group them with whatever dead celebrity happened to have died in recent time. Like, they just grouped them together. And I saw a picture. It was Kobe Bryant and Ruth Bader Ginsburg together. And I was like, there's no fucking way that they're hanging out or that they were even friends. And so that's the gist of the joke. But yeah, sad to say it didn't work. Yeah, they were not a fan. And they were not a fan of me, So I did the old Irish exit after the show. Usually you stay by and people are like, you were so funny. Oh, my God, you were so great. That was, like, so much fun. I just got out of there. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go home. Anyway, but it comes with the territory. I was in this building yesterday. And someone, I haven't seen this in a while, someone shit on the side of the building. Just, like, shit in like a little corner on the side of the building, like a hot one. And it was 90 degrees. It was a hot day. It was open air, full on defecation. That is a different type of smell. That's when you realize what the fuck we really are. I mean, we are just fucking gross creatures. We are gross things that just shit. Everybody takes dumps like that. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy that, like, billionaires take hot, steamy dumps and there's nothing that their money can do to stop that? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that $1 million can do for you to stop your steamy diarrhea. Like, Bill Gates has taken steamy diarrhea dumps, and so did this homeless person. The homeless person and Bill Gates, in that moment, were equals. That is how, Like when people try to bring us all together and like, we're all human, we're all the same on the inside. That sounds nice, and nobody really knows what exactly that means. But I think what it means is we all take steamy diarrhea dumps. Do you know what I mean? Like that, you are at your most primal, especially when you're outside. Dude, there's something about shitting outside, like in public around people. Oh, man. It's fun to watch. I'll be honest. It's a little fun. I don't like watching you take a shit. I like watching other people watch you take a shit because it's the like the moment where they notice and then there's like sudden horror and then they think like should we be doing that's not allowed. Should we be doing something? Should we say something? It's like this. It's the same shock when you like see a celebrity, like when I was working in the restaurant. That was my favorite thing is like, I know the celebrity's sitting there, but then other people who would come in, they would then just notice and be like, oh my God, that's Robert Downey Jr. Did you know at the table, two tables over, that's Robert Downey Jr. And they just have like this little moment. And that's the fun part for me. It's not seeing the actual thing. And that's what it's like on the street. Oh my God, that person's taking a shit. That person's taking a shit. They're shitting out Robert Downey Jr. They're like, they freak out. And it's fun to watch people freak out because the person who's taking the shit is not freaking out. They are acting like they're in a home on a toilet because if they're homeless, that is their home. So you're being the disruptive one. You watching them, you're intruding on their business. Which, it's kind of true. I mean, yes, it points out what a severe problem we have, but it's like, if that is their home, then that is where they shit. And so, of course, they're going to feel like you're intruding on them. They always have this look on their face like you just walked in. They're like, can I fucking help you? Jesus, man, give me a little bit of privacy. I'm trying to shit on the side of this Old Navy, okay? So just back up a little bit. Guy can't even take a shit in the privacy of his own home. But that's what I was thinking. That's the thing that ties us all together is like, yes, we're all human, but the bodily functions that we all have, there's nothing that you can really do to escape that. Or maybe there will be in the future, but we haven't figured out a way. We could take preventative measures. You can have a good diet. You can not drink so much. You can keep yourself healthy, and then your stool will be healthy. But I think every once in a while, that rock circles around the sun, and it's your time. It's your time to have steamy dumps, and in that moment, we're all equal. I should make like that should be the video that really just pulls us all together. It should just be a video of people from all over the world, every different, race, creed, color. Somebody has this joke, but I don't know what a creed is, but it's really funny because I don't know what a creed is. Religion, we should just have a video where everybody is just taking a dump and we all look different, but in that moment we all look the same because we're in the same position, the same thing is happening, and it is really what brings us all together. That's why I like the subway. I like the subway because it's everybody together. It's the rich businessman next to the homeless guy, next to the musical theater girl, next to the Amazon worker who's wearing the uniform with the blue and the stuff, and then they're sitting next to a mother of 14. We're all the same in that moment because we're all riding the subway. Maybe the video should be all the different people on a subway taking a shit in the same car. Then we're really all the same. We're all taking the F train. Man, I should have said taking the D train. We're taking the D train, taking a dump. We're all taking a D. Well, that doesn't sound right. I don't think that's the same. I don't think that was the message, but you know what I mean. You know? Don't you agree? Do you think like as you get older, do you take those same kind of dumps? It seems like a young man's game. This episode is very dump heavy, and I apologize. I apologize to my family that might be listening. Like when you get older, do you have? I guess you do, right? Because that's like what nurses do in old people homes. Is they have to clean up dump, right? It always ends up on the leg. I used to work in a retirement home, and that's like the thing that they would complain about is like you got to clean it up off of like a leg, which, you know, that's like the only time you really got to clean. You really got to give a leg a good clean. You know, as a kid, you go out and you play in the dirt and shit, and you actually have to clean dirt off your legs. But as an adult, dude, I swear, I feel like I could go and, you know, every time I take a shower, I feel like the first thing that I wash for some reason is like the top of my thigh. And there's no reason. Like the top of my thigh is never exposed to any element whatsoever. Like I don't even know how it gets dirty. It just gets dirty from like just being. But I don't think I need to wash it every shower. You know what I mean? Like I feel like maybe once a week, if that. They're like a pair of jeans. You don't need to wash them after every wear. But for some reason, I will waste so much soap on the top of my thigh. It goes back to that like old Carlin bit about like how you only need to wash what was it? Armpit, asshole, crotch, and teeth. Armpit, asshole, crotch, and teeth. That's what you got to worry about. Now, for me, I should wash my feet. It's just sometimes you forget about them. You forget about washing your feet because they're all the way down there. I forget about them if I'm not like looking down. I don't go below the crotch sometimes. Like why do I have to wash my calves? They're like my calves. No one's ever told me, oh, dude, you washed everything else, but your calves reek. It's a conspiracy. Like, we don't need to wash Carlin nailed it. We don't need to wash every part of our body. We just don't. Here's another one I forget. I have an innie belly button. Always forget to do the belly button. You know? Anyway, this episode is, man, I guess the morning ones are weird. Yeah, speaking of hot diarrhea, by the way, I work with these, I don't work with, but I work near like this like construction site. So I see these construction workers every morning, and dude, I always see them in this bodega because I'll go in there and I'll get a coffee. The shit that a construction worker starts their day with, dietary wise, I don't know how they have the energy or just brain power to function and go build shit. Dude, construction workers, they just like, they'll start off the day like, yo, let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese, 2 donuts, and and then like a bagel with cream cheese or something like that. Like I saw, like to see, you ever go in a bodega or like, you know, a deli or anywhere and they have like pastries and they're just wrapped in plastic? Like I truly believe, I'm like, oh, those like aren't for sale. You know, those are just there on display to let you know, to just remind you what a donut looks like. Oh yeah, donuts. Oh, I haven't had a donut in a while. We should go to a donut place. But this guy, like he creaks open the little case where they've been sitting, and he just grabs like a pink frosting donut. Like, what is going on in your mind where that is appealing to you at that early in the morning? Part of like the whole thing of donuts, I feel like, is the is the whole experience of them showing up, right? Somebody woke up early, they went to the place, they got a box of donuts, they brought them back, and then they're like, it's like when you lift open the box of pizza, you just like look at it and you look at the dozen donuts and you look at all the different kinds. You're like, oh, you got one of these. Oh, those are my favorite. Definitely save me one of those. That's the best part of the donut. Yeah, eating it tastes good, but then you feel terrible. But then you take the donut out of that element, out of that environment, and you put them in a dirty bodega in like a glass case that, hasn't been cleaned in who knows how long, and it's just like wrapped in plastic. It looks like a hostage. It looks like it's like if a donut were somebody who was like, estranged from their family and they were on drugs and they just had a real problem, and you're like, man, they used to be something. Like that came out of the same fryer that like some other donut who had a much better life had, But this one, it somehow ended up at this dirty bodega being suffocated by plastic, which I don't know if that's supposed to like preserve it. Does that preserve? Fuck me. God damn it. Sorry, I hit the button. I was playing with the buttons. What was I saying? The donut. It's like you see what it once was. You see what it could have been. It's why it looks so sad. It's all crumpled up. It's not even like a good circle anymore. It's like a circle with like a dent in it, because so many people picked it up, looked at it, and then put it back. So it's like it's all disfigured and shit. The icing isn't like really even icing. It's all cracked and just kind of discolored a little bit. And there's something about this fucking construction guy, something going on in his brain where he's like, yeah, let's do it. Maybe we should be applauding him because he actually, he ended that donut's life. He took it out of its misery. He said, you know what? You don't deserve this life. That's the zoo. That's the zoo for a donut, is just being in a glass box to be admired but never to actually fulfill its purpose. Like some of the, these pastries in these bodegas, they just live a sad, sad life. They just sit there, I guess, hoping one day that a construction worker will end it all, will end all their misery. And they should, because I'm never going to do it. I've never looked at those donuts and thought, how about today? How about today we just ruin the rest of our day? Which is what it would do for me. I don't even have a physical, job. I don't, but I also do. I do need to think. I do need to think all day. And if I had a fucking donut and bacon, egg, and cheese and a bagel and then like a large coffee. Dude, the coffee, it's not even a coffee. It's not like one of these Starbucks, like you started with a black coffee and you just concocted like the sugar, the way you like dispense sugar, they don't have like packets and it's not like a little spoon scooper. It's just like in a pour. It's in like a pouring system. That is not the device to which you should disperse sugar into anything. Like you're not measuring out any, the measurement is by seconds, They're like, let me get a coffee, cream, 5 seconds of sugar. And then they just hold over the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5. I mean, so much sugar. And you do the same with cream. It's like 4 seconds of cream. It's like, where's the coffee, dude? It's so much. Ugh. That's the thing I used to see homeless dudes do a lot. Like when I would go to a coffee shop all the time and like at Starbucks, they just, after that whole scandal, they'll let anybody inside the Starbucks. You know what I mean? Because they asked those, like, what was the story? Like they asked the people to leave, but they were just, they weren't doing anything. They were just sitting there and, they called the cops on them and, right, it was a whole story. And now after that, you can walk in and be like, I own this fucking Starbucks. This Starbucks is mine. I'm going to take my shoes off. I saw this woman. I was at a Starbucks the other day, and this woman is like packed in there, right? Huge long line. She just walks up. You could tell she's on something. She's just hysterically laughing to herself. She's got like a belly shirt. And she looks like, oddly, she looks like she just walked off like a beach. She's like a boardwalk person who was homeless, just huge, fat, like kind of losing her hair a little bit. She just walks up. She's like rubbing her stomach, just laughing. She looked like she was having a good time, I'll be honest. And she asked for like a cup of water. And I was like, okay, well, that's good that the Starbucks gives water, so they can drink it. So she takes it and she walks outside and she just dumps the whole thing over her head and just starts she's like looking inside the Starbucks, just like rubbing her tits, just hysterically laughing. And I like at all these people who are trying to make it to work in the morning. It was just so, see, in that moment, we couldn't be further from each other. These people are inside. They're wearing the business suit. They're waiting for their latte. They have a mask on and they're just like, I have to get this. I have to be prepared for the meeting. And then she lives on the street, doesn't even know the idea of coffee. That's not what this place is about. This place is the bathroom. This is the shower. And so she walks in, gets the water and dumps it out, laughing, rubbing her tits. I mean, it's like, what? I want to see a time-lapse video. I want to see that time-lapse video. I'm always curious how homeless people get to be so goddamn homeless. You know what I mean? Because there's some people that are homeless who are like, they look fucking homeless. How long does that take? Because it's not overnight, right? I guess it depends on how you get there. Like if you start with drugs and then that makes you look raggedy already. But it's like if I was homeless tomorrow, I'm not going to look like that in a week. I feel like I would be able to get by a little bit better, but I want to see that time-lapse video of just who they were and then who they are now to where they're like on the street talking to themselves. I do think I would do that if I was homeless. I think within a week, if I was homeless and I didn't know anybody, because I wouldn't talk, if I was homeless, I'd hit up some friends. I'm very lucky. I would have resources. But if I didn't, if I was in a city, I didn't know anybody, no one knew me, I'd for sure be talking to myself within a week. Because nobody talks to you. That's kind of that would be the shittiest part, is nobody will trust anything that you say. If you say, "Excuse me, sir," as polite as possible, they'll be like, this guy's out of his fucking mind. Just because you don't have shoes and you're dirty and you smell and you're dumping water all over your head in front of the Starbucks and rubbing your tits. No one will talk to you. And that's unfortunate. Every once in a while, you'll see a person who's stopped on the side of the road and they're talking to a homeless person and just, treating them like a human being and just having a conversation with them. And my cynical ass is like, oh, you're just doing that because you want everybody else to see that you're fucking doing that. And you want us all to think that you're such a nice person. And, oh, I'm going to treat these people, like fucking, fuck you. Okay? You're not better than us just because you're talking to them. Did you give? Did you give anything? Bet you didn't. You just talked to them and had a conversation. I used to work at a bakery, and speaking of donuts and homeless people, we're going to wrap this thing up in a nice, neat bow. I used to work at a donut place, and they would throw out all the donuts at the end of the night because they didn't sell them. And so I used to take home boxes of donuts to the point where my roommates were like, okay, we don't even want these anymore. This is a bit much. What are you doing? So I would try to give them to homeless people. I gave a homeless guy an entire box of fucking quality gourmet donuts. And then I was with Kate, and then I dropped him off, here you go, man. He was like, oh, thanks. And then I walked around the corner, and then we kind of did a circle around the block, and we came back to this park, and the box of donuts was untouched in the garbage. Hey, man, fuck you. Fuck you, dude. I gave you a whole box of donuts, and yeah, okay, maybe you shouldn't eat all of them, and it's not good for them. It's not going to make them feel great, but it's something. Like, it's food. You're clearly not doing that bad if you're denying food. It annoyed me so much. Even though I had no investment in it and it didn't cost me anything to give this to them, it still annoyed me a little bit just because they're throwing out the fresh donuts, you know? It's like I gave you my half-eaten granola bar and I'm like, here you go, you know? It was a fresh box. Just at least try it. Dude, try the donut. How about that? Maybe just be, like, even if I was fully satiated, if I had a full meal in me, if someone gave me a whole box of donuts, even if I didn't want them and I was going to throw them out, I would try the fucking donut. So, I don't know. That kind of shit just annoys me. You never know why a homeless person is homeless, but I don't know what to do about them. There's a lot. Point is, some homeless people aren't that homeless and they can actually deny food. Some people are homeless and they're super homeless and they take showers at Starbucks with Starbucks cups. And then some people are really, really homeless and they take dumps on the side of a building. And some people are all of them wrapped up in one, you know? And we should all be shitting on the street. That's the message. That's the takeaway from this episode, is everyone should shit on the street once. That's one of those, like, you're not a New Yorker until. You're not a New Yorker, I believe, until you, maybe not shit, but at least urinate. If you haven't peed somewhere outside because you, like, couldn't find a bathroom, I don't think you've lived in this city long enough, because it should take you about a week. I piss all the time where I'm not supposed to. And it's because it's very easy. It's very easy, especially, you know, if you're a guy, I get it. You know, it's one of the perks for sure. Being able to pee pretty much anywhere. Man, I wish, that somebody should make like an app. I wish there was like an app where you could, like, I don't know, it was easy to document all the places that you've peed outside. And then, you know, you could have a nice little map of that where you could connect the dots and make something out of it. I would like to see that. I would like to see all the places that I publicly urinated in New York. And, you know, just maybe like a date, the time. That'd be cool. Anyway, someone work on that. That's the podcast this week. Hope you have a good week. Thank you for listening. You know, like, share, subscribe, yada, 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 all that good stuff. We'll see you next week. Peace.